Hey everybody, it's Chris. Welcome to Guilty Words, where we unravel crime, one word at a time. We're continuing to look at Ruby Frankie's diary, in which she justifies her child abuse by claiming she's doing God's will. In today's installment, she has decided to prove to the children that good work needs to be painful, and she takes them to a cemetery in the desert to work without shoes amidst the broken glass, the thorns, the rocks, and the hot sand, and also without water and over 100-degree heat, because that's how she's going to teach them God's love. Let's take a look at the entries together. July 19th, 2023 is completely redacted. The next entry is July 23rd. July 23rd, 2023, Sunday. To begin a separation from evil toward God, all the darkness needs exposed to the light. And once the lies and sin is revealed, the body must engage in good work. And the good work needs to be painful. Otherwise, the service becomes another feel-good distraction. A day of fasting and prayer for me after learning my children have been spawns of Satan. R has been out of control. P, poop, lie, steal, run away. E, crying, wailing. You could not know what this has been like unless you were here. Jodi and I took E out to the desert. She refused to stay quiet and would scream and scream. Jodi found a reservation cemetery, Chivwit Cemetery. She went out into the heat, barefoot. E still tried to run. She screamed for another family, water, food, care, love. Oh, E, a manipulative ploy. You are loved. R has been out of control. Peeing and pooping and lying and stealing and running away. And E, crying and wailing. Jodi and Ruby took E out into the desert. So they're separating the children here. Now it's E's turn for punishment. Who knows? Maybe they have left R hogtied up at home at this point. And E goes out into this cemetery in the desert, barefoot, in the heat, and still trying to run, screaming for another family. And I checked the weather for July 23rd, and it was 110 degrees at 3 p.m. So she's out in this desert sometime during that day, barefoot, trying to run and scream, and getting nowhere. This is a picture of the cemetery that Ruby is talking about in this upcoming entry. After a couple of hours of screaming and speaking nonsense, E finally lay down in the road quiet. We took her home. We took E and R something and J the next day, E and R barefoot to increase the discomfort and decrease the running away. The task at hand was to weed the cemetery. Huge sagebrush, pokies, thorns, broken glass, garbage is overfull. We spent a couple of hours filling black bags in J-Jo's truck bed. The kids began to mellow out a bit. R looked for shade in cheating. We went out the next day and again today. 5 hours of weed pulling. R is finally starting to get the hang of it. This is getting easier. I feel I'm getting stronger. So they're barefoot in this 100-degree weather out in the cemetery that you can see here to deliberately increase the discomfort and decrease the running away. There are thorns, pokies, broken glass, all kinds of things that can cut their feet. And yet there they are. Never mind just how hot the sand is. And then R, on day 3 of this, begins to mellow out a bit. Probably heat stroke, exhaustion, lack of water, and he's trying to get through this. Except he does look for shade, and as you can tell, there really isn't much around there. 5 hours of weed pulling, And he starts saying, I'm getting stronger, trying to do something to make his mother happy. But of course, he can't. I want to pull the weed out of my heart. What am I doing with my life? I don't want to live like this anymore. All children need the experience of pulling obnoxious weeds, sweating in the sun, working while thirsty, and knowing what doing an anonymous act of service feels like. They are each begging to see how nice the cemetery looks after days of their hard work. Yesterday, R was devious and put his head in the toilet. He said he was hot and wanted to cool off. Jodi and I reflected how disgusting and deviant that is. It's a problem that R has no problem being gross. So she takes what isn't necessarily a bad idea, doing an anonymous act of service or, helping clean up somebody's yard or something, but takes it to this level of sweating in the sun and working while thirsty. It has to have this element of basically torture to it in order for it to count, because good work needs to be painful. And poor R is so desperate to cool off that he sticks his head in the toilet. And they're grossed out by this, but there's never a question of, he must have been incredibly hot to do that. They just figure he's a gross kid and has no problem being gross. I don't think that's the issue. On July 25th, 2023, Ruby once again protects herself when she's afraid she might get caught. 7 to 8:30 a.m., women's group. 8:30 a.m., Ruby takes ENR and the child J to Chivwit Cemetery. Each child is given a bag to pick up broken glass and weeds. We work for about 15 minutes and a red vehicle with a woman, Indian, shows up. She sits and watches us for about 15 minutes, taking pictures or video. I tell the kids to stay right by me and keep their faces from being pictured. We continue to pull weeds. The woman gets out of her vehicle and walks towards me. What are you doing here? You don't belong here. This isn't your land. You are trespassing. I tell her I'm weeding. She tells me, how would you feel if I came and poked around your... Continue in a moment. So, first of all, from 7 to 8:30, Ruby goes to a women's group, which is usually some kind of Bible study where you talk about living a wholesome life. And yet, then she goes home to torture her kids some more. And she's very careful to keep faces from being pictured. The other thing is, we're going to go into the rest of the detail of this incident, but the amount of detail she puts into this is telling, because it obviously upsets her that somebody, an adult, is pushing back against her and confronting her and not appreciating her, and it makes her upset. Let's continue. What are you stealing? Me, nothing. We are weeding, picking up trash. She wants to know what's in the bags. I say, weeds and broken glass, you can see for yourself. She tells me to leave the bags and get off her land. It's not good enough for you that you come and take all our land, and now you want more. What you have isn't good enough. You had to come take our cemeteries too. What's wrong with you? You were not raised right. So much disrespect. I told her, I do not mean any disrespect. I'm honoring your people. I'm offering. She would not let me get any more words in. I collect my children and walk to the car. She yells at the kids that they will grow up to be just like their mother, white and full of privilege. Mind your own business. Get out. I'm filing a police report. I tell the kids to get into the car, and she wants me to wait so she can get a good photo of us and the license plate. I don't think so. We drive off as she stumbles to get her camera app up. This woman was projecting all her anger and aggression onto me. She told me I was walking around acting like I owned the place, when that is what she was doing. She wasn't raised right. She was disrespectful. We leave, and I talk to ENR about this woman, who was attacking us with her distortion. A couple of days ago, we met a woman who thanked us for helping us keep the graveyard clean. And now this woman tells us we're aggressive when she is the aggressor. I told the kids this is exactly what they are doing. I'm helping them, and they mock and reject my help. God sent me to help them repent, and they turn me away. The kids seemed a bit affected. Because they are so numb, I don't know how long it will last. It will hold. R is very emotional. E not so much. She is seeing and hearing evil. I told her that she invited evil. It's her charge to now send them away. You created this, E. The good news is because you created this, you can destroy it. Send them away. I told the kids this is exactly what they are doing. I'm helping them and they mock and reject my help. It's not a parallel to what this woman was saying. And yet, Ruby likes to take these things and twist them into stories that suit her. And then she goes ahead and tells poor E that she's chosen evil and she invited evil in and she can get rid of it herself. Well, what happened to Ruby needing to be the one to cast out the demons? Now suddenly the kids are all in control of inviting it in and tossing it out, changing the game for these poor kids once again. Thank you for taking the time to join me for this episode. I appreciate it very much, just like I appreciate your comments below. In our next episode, E's behavior starts to escalate as she gets more and more desperate. And of course, Ruby, and this time Jodi, counter this with increased aggression. So please join me next time for the cactus lesson. And until I see you in that video, please use your words wisely and well. Take care.